Hey everyone, welcome to Robust QA. My name is Abhishek Patel. Hope you are having a nice day. So today I want to talk about the locator detecting strategy in Playwright. So in the Playwright, there are two ways to find the locators. Number one is the plain vanilla ordinary way, and that is using the CSS selector and xpath, which is quite common and supports almost all the tools. However, in the Playwright, there is a new feature, or there is a feature that I find it really interesting, and that is they recommend using the user visible locator. That means user visible. Whatever you see on the screen are called user visible locators, like text or accessible role, instead of using CSS that is tied to the implementation and could break when the pages or page changes, right? So they are, in other words, saying that if you use XPath or CSS selector, chances are your test might break or could break. And the reason is because the CSS selector and XPath are tied up with the code that was developed by your developer, right? So when they make changes to their code, your test needs to make the changes or needs to be updated. Otherwise, it will fail. However, if you use the user visible locators, then there are chances that it will not impact your test. The underlying change or whatever it's under the DOM will not impact your test. Now let's see how to use the user visible locators and what are they. So these are called the user visible locator. All these methods that you see. Let's see how to use it. Let's see the practical demo. So here I have this application open called sourcedemo.com. And let's say you want to find the locator here. Let's say you want to find the locator for the username. Now, the simplest way is you can find the locator using the placeholder, because the placeholder apparently is the username. And yeah, so the placeholder is username. So I can use this function or method called get by placeholder and username and fill standard user. Okay, same I can do with the password and for the button as well. But there is also another way. Let's see the get by role, because apparently there are just two methods which can be used for the user visible locators. One is the get by role, and the second one is get by text. Let's explore both of them. Let's start with the get by role. I'm going to write the page dot get by role, and so get by role accept two arguments. When I press Control spacebar, it will tell me, or it will prompt me all the available role. So this role is, what is this role? It's a text area, right? So I'm going to write text. So it should go within the inverted commas. The second argument it takes is the curly braces and goes name, and the name, whatever you see on the screen. So here on the screen it's username, so I'm going to use username. And if you see here, it's highlighting the text box with the username, right? And I'm going to use the fill method, and within the fill, I'm going to use what's recommended here. That's a standard user. Okay, and when I hover my mouse here, and you see it's pointing to the right text box. Okay, I can do the same. So essentially, role is nothing but the type of the locator and the name of the locator that you see on the screen. So it just accepts the two arguments, right? So one is the type of the locator, and the second one is the name of the locator that you see on the screen. Okay. Now let's do await page.get by role, and this time for the password, what do you see here? It's a text box. So I'm going to type text box, and within the curly braces, I'm going to type name, and what's the name is password. I'm going to use fill function, right? I'm going to use the fill function. Okay, and the password is secret sauce, so that's what I'm going to use. And when I hover my mouse here, you see it's pointing to the right text box. Now let's do the same for the button, this login button. Just think in your minds, just guess in your mind, so how you can build a get by role for the login button. So it would be page dot get by role. And what's the type of the role? The type of the role is button, right? The second argument it accepts is the curly braces and the name. What's the name of the button that you see on screen? It's a login button, right? And I'm going to click on. See, now it's prompting to the right login button. And let me run this test. It's going to fill up the username password and it's going to click on the login button. And yes, we are here inside the application. Okay, so get by role, like I said, get by role and get by text is for the user visible locators. Extremely important. I will keep repeating this so it goes in your head. Okay, the second one is, let's say I want to click on the product. I'm going to use, this time I'm going to use the get by text. So await page dot get by text. Now get by text is really simple and important. So whatever you see on the screen, just type here, get by text. Like I said, we want to click on this product. I'm going to type the products. Okay. And if you might have noticed, if I type pro like this, then, or maybe product. Okay. What I was trying to say is that this is the partial match. So if there is another product on your screen, then chances are it will return the two elements. Okay, so we'll also handle that kind of scenario as well. But in this case, you can see when I hover my mouse here, it's just pointing to the right element. Okay, all right. So yeah, let's try to click on the add to the cart using the same strategy. Now, two ways to find it. Let's first try with the get by role. So what it would be page dot get by role. And what's the role? Role is button. And what's the second argument? It takes curly braces, name, and the name, what's the name of the button you see on the screen? Add to cart. Okay. If you can notice here, it's actually here. It's actually returning this 6 element because there are 6 elements on the screen. Right now, let's say if you want to click on the first element always, then you can also chain up or use the another method called nth of 0.click, and you'll see it's now just returning the first element because index starts from 0. And let's say you always want to click on the second element, type 1, and it's here. You'll see now it's just pointing to the second element. Now let's say you always want to click on the last element, always, doesn't really matter. You always want to click on the last element, doesn't matter, then see it's pointing to the last element. So this is how you can use nth. So if when your element is returning all the elements, then you can select element as per your need. Okay, now instead of get by role, let's use the get by text, which is, I think, even easier than this. Await page dot get by text, and simply text is add to cart, and see it returns this 6 elements, same thing. And I'm going to do the same nth of -1 and click, and you see over my mouse, and you will see here it's just returning or it's just pointing to the last one, right? So yeah, so this is how you can use get by role and get by text. And I'm pretty much confident that with these two methods, you can interact with most of the elements on the screen. You can explore more in the documentation, but just I wanted to plant a seed. And let's say now you want to click on this hamburger. Now it does not have any name, right? And what can you do here in this case? So in this case, it is okay to use the CSS selector. So let me do like await page dot, and to use the CSS selector, I will have to use the locator method. And within the locator method, I can simply pass the string of the CSS selector, right click, inspect, and this is the simply ID. So I'm going to use the ID, and ID start with the hash and control paste and click. And when I go here, you can see it's pointing to the right button or right the locator. Okay. Well, that's pretty much about it. And also you can chain you can also chain this up. So for example, let's say, let me add a couple of these products and let me go to the checkout. Let's go to the checkout. And let's say I want to click on the remove button, the second one. Okay, but this time I want to use the CSS selector. I don't want to use get by role or any user locators. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the whole container. So I'm going to use the await page dot locator and its ID. So start with the hash and paste it. So now it's returning the whole container, and within the container we have two buttons. So now I'm going to chain this thing. So how can I chain this thing? So I'm simply going to use click and get by text, maybe, yeah, get by text. And what text do we want to have? It's remove. So now, as you can see, now it's returning the two buttons. So this is how you can also do. So you can chain the locators. You can chain as many locators you want. Okay, and also instead of get, okay, let's do one another thing. Now here, let's use the function called text and remove, but should be within a single quotes and not the double quotes. And you can see here now it's pointing to the two buttons, right? So we are just using the locator or CSS selector, and you can see here it's pointing to the two locators. Now let's say I want to just select the last one, then I can also, and there is apparently a class that you can use. It's under the other locators called nth. Where is it? It's yeah, nth match. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use that. Now let's go in here and space and paste here, and instead of by, it's remove, and this is okay, spelling remove, and should be under a single quote, and we just have a two button. Let's say I want to select the second one. I will specify number 2, okay, and dot click. Okay, this should work. Or you know what, let's get rid of this maybe. Yes, and you see here the locator is now pointing to the second button. If I change this to 1, it's going to point to the first locator. Okay, so hope this makes sense, and also I would recommend read the documentation and get familiar with how to use the CSS selector in the Playwright. And also, if you have installed your Playwright using the control palette like this, Control Shift and P, and install Playwright, and just navigate to the testing tab, and you can also, when you go to the testing, you see here, pick a locator. You can click here and simply hover your mouse here, and when you click here, you will see here it just copy pasted the locator up here. So you can directly copy this and use it in your script as well. Okay. Yeah, and also you can record as well. You can either, let's say after this you want to click on the checkout, you can record the action as well. So after this, okay, we were here. So after this, what do we want to do? We want to click on the checkout, but we want to record this action. So I'm going to click on record at the cursor, and now recording has started. If you see here, I'm going to click on the checkout, and I'm going to stop the recording. If you see here, that's all about in this video. Hope I would recommend let's connect on LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm going to put down the link below this video, and that's all. Hope you have a nice day. See you next time.